thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your latest book and how the idea came around.
Okay, the title of the book is Disorder. It's published by No Alibis Press. It's basically a book about the recreational rioting that goes on in Northern Ireland, or mostly Belfast, but in other places as well. I happen to set it in Belfast to concentrate that one idea. It was published by No Alibis Press, which is an extension of No Alibis Bookshop on Botanic Avenue. The reason that they were able to read the book was because it made up part of my PhD in creative writing, and they have a binding service, and I asked them to bind it for me, and David had a read of it, and when he had the idea of having a publishing company, he asked me was it still available, and I'd been spending so much time in that shop and met so many writers from there, I just thought it was the perfect place for it to come out of, and I love the job that he did with it.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about this story and how it unfolds.
Sure. It starts off, it's a very fast-paced book. It starts off in the middle of a riot, and the central characters all encounter each other at this riot. And from there, you get to learn about Detective Bridge, who basically holds the book together, and is a not very nice police officer, but hopefully you find a sympathy for him and understand some of his actions, even though they are pretty gritty.
Yeah, and whereabouts are you in your author journey as such?
Knackered. I have published a few books through different small presses, and this is the culmination so far. I have a sort of an academic background, I suppose you would say, because I've done a master's and a PhD in creative writing. But I was recently talking to an agent, and he had likened my whole background to doing an apprenticeship in writing, which I think is a very fair point. You know, most writers most of them who are seen as an overnight success, they're actually 10 years writing before they become an overnight success. I've been writing around 10, so I think at this stage I'm due to be an overnight success.
Yeah, and what would you say is the most challenging thing about being an author?
Getting people to take you seriously. You know, they think that it is kind of a fun, you know, a bit of crack, you know, and that there's that whole stereotype about the drunk Irish writer, which sometimes I play into for the fun of it, but really I'm kind of boring, you know. And there's also, and what was the question again?
What has been the most challenging?
Remembering questions. No, the most challenging part is trying to get people to take you seriously for doing something that you want to do anyway.
Yeah.
And also getting noticed as a writer.
What for you has been, I suppose, the highlight of the career, that sort of high point?
This is the thing about writing, it delivers high points all the time. Do you know, I can answer this question differently every time I think about it. My latest highest point was receiving my author copies of this book.
Yeah.
But there were others along the way, you know, getting to travel with Arts Council funding, having the privilege of doing a PhD with Dell funding, both of which are getting cut at the minute, and I wish people would stop cutting these arts so that other people have a chance to do the things that I've been lucky enough to do. Other highlights include making friends with some of my favourite writers, you know, attending festivals, having that sort of writer lifestyle that you kind of imagined, but also knowing that you can go home every night to your comfortable seat and, you know, everything will be sitting there waiting for you.
Yeah, and what would be your advice to up-and-coming writers?
Writing is a waiting game, you know, so I would say to people that you need to be patient. I think that's something that is lacking quite a lot these days, you know. People expect things to happen more quickly, and it does seem to be the case in a lot of different endeavours, you know, whether it be stand-up comedy, acting or whatever. You know, some people will break through quickly and some people won't, but if it's something that you really want to do, you know, have the confidence to be patient and wait until it's your moment.
And when it comes to the writers' community, there's a lot of discussion about the importance of having that community around you. At what point did you find the community in your writing journey? Was it late on or was it early?
No, it was actually quite early. One of the ways that I started to meet people was through a blog called Crime Scene Northern Ireland, which I ran it was 2007, I think it might have started. And I hadn't published anything at that stage other than maybe a few short stories. But I was interested in all the stuff that was going on here, hence the name Crime Scene NI, or as I jokingly called it, CSNI. But it was when blogs weren't as popular and there wasn't as much social media and stuff like that, so I was an unusual thing to have, and like newspapers did articles on this blog, and I was like, I'm just writing stuff on the internet, I got interviewed by the BBC Radio, different things, I became sort of known as somebody who knows a lot about crime fiction, so then I thought, I suppose you better write some, but that did introduce me to all the different writers. It introduced me even to No Alibis, book publishers and promoters were sending me free copies of books to review, and trying to get me to interview their authors and stuff, and just through that you sort of made connections which eventually became friendships.
And how hard is it, aside from the writing part of being an author, how hard is the other side, the promotion, the getting it out there, the pitching it to the publishers and agents and all of that? Yeah,
it's surprisingly tiring, but then if you think about it, getting out and about, a lot of this stuff looks like fun, and I like to make the most of anything I'm doing because I don't get out of the house an awful lot. So when I do go out, I try my best to have fun. But you sometimes forget that you need to stop doing that and take a break from it. It's being aware that you need your energy and that you need to sleep. When I worked full time and hadn't published anything, I used to just sacrifice my sleep to write, and that worked up until a point, but I noticed my health was slipping away, putting on weight, all sorts of different things. And now that I'm a little bit older and way grayer, I've sort of learned that you do need to take these breaks. Even though it feels like fun, you can still burn yourself out.
Yeah, and very lastly, what's next for you?
Keep on writing. That's all you can do. Every book has to be the best book that you can possibly write, and I'm currently working on the best book I've ever written.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Cheers.